Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Blood Phantom 81. So today I'm going to be talking about dividend stocks on Robinhood. I'm only going to go over 4, and these are actually my 4 favorite at the moment monthly high dividend paying stocks. The focus of this channel is not on monthly high dividend stocks or even dividends for that matter. My main source of profit and gains comes from just capital appreciation. As you guys can see, I'm up 4.8k in the past week, and there's no way I'm going to get that type of gain with just dividends alone. But dividends in fact serve a different purpose for my portfolio. Number one, they serve as a hedge. So I do like buying low volatility ETFs or REITs because you can park your money in these and you can expect them to be less volatile than the overall stock market. And should buying opportunities arise, then you have that money that should not have taken that much of a hit comparably to the rest of your portfolio. So it's nice to have a hedge. Number 2, I consider this to be a good place to park my undecided money. And yes, there's always going to be some good buying opportunities. I think like 3M is still a really good buy. I think AbbVie is still a really good buy. But there's only so much that I'm going to put into those stocks, especially at the moment because they have gone up recently. Yes, there are always good buying opportunities, but there aren't buying opportunities that I'm extremely excited about at the moment. And so I still have my money into some of these monthly high dividend paying stocks. Alright, so I'm here on the Robinhood desktop platform. The first ETF I'm going to be talking about is ticker symbol PTY. Should really be called ticker symbol PYT because it's such a pretty young thing. This one's been pretty reliable for me. I currently have about 3.8k, up about 5.88%. Now, the dividend yield on this ETF or fund is actually pretty massive. It's close to around 10%, and it ranges from 9 to 11% on any given month, depending on where the share price has gone. As you guys can see, even the share price is killing it with up over 20% in the past year. And I actually got into this one a little bit late, and so as a result of that, my average cost isn't as good as it could be. But even given that, I'm still up about 5.88%. One thing I do want to make clear though is that I don't necessarily trust this fund all that much, and so for that reason I actually have a stop loss on PTY. And so normally I don't talk about stop losses, but I think it might be pretty interesting to some people. So as you guys know, there are some monthly high dividend paying stocks that pay massive amounts in dividend yield in terms of percentage. Anything up or over 10% can be considered risky by many. And so if you are in that camp, myself included, then it might make sense to put a stop loss at a price where you feel comfortable with selling, because there are some other funds, let's say like ticker symbol GOF, which I used to own, by the way. GOF, if you take a look at it from a long-term perspective, let's go ahead and look at a 5-year chart, does not have the same upwards tilt that PTY has, even though they are considered to be pretty similar. And so I don't want to have a fund that I have to babysit all the time. And so if the stock price just keeps going down and my dividend yield is just barely enough to sort of offset what I'm losing in share price, and I don't think it's personally worth it to invest in some of these funds. And so I'm more of a total return type of investor, not just like a dividend yield investor, not just a capital appreciation investor. I'm looking for good opportunities regardless of how they come in, whether they come in once a month, once a quarter, or whether they're in share price. So for that reason, I do have a stop loss on PTY, even though it gives a lot. You kind of have to watch your back, so to speak, with some of these funds. One fund that you do not have to watch your back over is ticker symbol SPHD. And a lot of people can say that they don't like SPHD because of the expense ratio. It's like 0.3% or something like that, which like honestly, I'm not even going to feel the difference of like 0.3% and 0.1%. So yeah, I mean, people can say that it's expensive, but like you don't know SPHD, like I know SPHD. This is actually one of my oldest holdings. And so I've been with SPHD for maybe over 6 months, which is actually kind of a long time for the type of investor that I am. So yeah, I do know the ins and outs of this one pretty well. When you look at the holdings, you see utilities and consumer staples and more reliable holdings, even AT&T and that kind of thing. So yeah, currently I'm up 6.6% on SPHD. My total equity is about 17.4K, average cost at about $40.98. And even considering the market climate, which has been, just doing amazing over the past few months since October. The stock market's just been on an absolute tear. Even considering that market climate, SPHD is kind of holding its own. And so if we take a look at a 5-year chart, even more long term, you can see that it doesn't necessarily move all that much, but the same thing can be said about the upside and the downside. And so it's just like a perfect hedge for me. With a $17,000 holding, my current dividend amount per month is about $61.89. And in fact, this amount actually grows every couple months or so. So in September, I was getting paid $60.81. In October, I was getting paid $60.86, and it's increased to about $61.89. So yeah, SPHD might actually be my favorite ETF at the moment. So the dividend yield is about 4%. Yes, there are other ETFs that can give you a 4% yield with slightly different holdings. So it's definitely up to you guys. Whatever is your favorite monthly high dividend paying ETF. Next on the list is LTC. I love LTC. There's actually a fun fact that I read this morning about how many boomers there's going to be by 2050, for example. And so there's going to be a lot of retirees coming up in the next few decades. For those of you that care about fundamental analysis more than I do, you can feel free to read up on that. Me personally, LTC is kind of my, I have a special relationship with LTC. I call her Letitia. My current equity is about 11K. Total return is about 1% actually. So I used to not be up on this one. You can see over the past year that it's kind of been close to flat, just like slightly up about 6.84% in the past year. But it's had a lot of trouble ever since October 23rd, which is actually right when the stock market bottomed and went on an insane tear. And so it's almost like there's an inverse correlation with LTC and other REITs. I actually made a video about that more in depth. I will go ahead and link it in the description down below. So ever since then, I've actually been averaging down on LTC. And I'm actually finally up on it. So all the averaging down paid off for now, at least. It looks like we hit some sort of short-term bottom. LTC pays around a 5% dividend yield, especially now. The dividend yield is much nicer this month than it was in October, where it was around $52 per share. So I still think it's in a pretty good buying opportunity, but for now, I'm probably not going to add any more shares. I'm just going to let it ride. $11,000 is already a lot for any single monthly high dividend paying stock. The amount that I'm going to get in dividends will actually vary from this, because this was when I had about 220 shares, and right now I think I have about 240 shares. So let's just say for our intents and purposes that that's about $43 per share. Let's go ahead and look at the last holding that I'll be talking about, which is ticker symbol O. Realty Income is probably one of everybody's favorite REITs, and myself included. I love this company. I have about $8,600 in ticker symbol O. My average cost is about $73.95, and yes, I have been averaging down on this one. Once again, it has a pretty similar price history to LTC in that it's done pretty well over the past year, except for this peak made towards the end of October where it just started plummeting. And yeah, I used that opportunity to just average down. I'm also up on this one finally. I'm up over 1%, which is just like such a welcome sight to see, especially because I didn't know when the bottom was in. But certainly we made some sort of short-term bottom now. And if we go ahead and take a look at my dividend yield. So on January 15th, I will be getting paid about $25, and that's for 110 shares. Where currently I have 115 shares. So I will be getting paid a little bit more than $25. Let's say maybe $26 for our intents and purposes. So just to go ahead and tally up the total, let's go ahead and review how much I'm getting paid in each of these monthly high dividend stocks or funds. So PTY always pays me a $26 amount every single month. So why don't we go ahead and write that down for PTY? That's about $26 per share. SPHD at the moment is giving me a $61.89 dividend amount. So let's go ahead and write that down as well as, let's just say $61. Let's be conservative. Probably better to be conservative than anything else in life. unless we're talking about politics. Anyway, LTC currently pays about 19 cents per share, but because I have 240 shares, especially because of all the purchases I made recently, let's go ahead and figure out that calculation right now. So 19 cents per share times 240 shares, that's about $45 per month. So now we can write that down as well. LTC at $45 per month. The last stock is ticker symbol O, and they pay currently a 22 cent per share dividend amount. And so let's go ahead and see how many shares I have. I think it's about 115. That's right. So the calculation is 115 shares times 0.2275. So that's about $26 per month for realty income. And so to tally all of that up, we basically just do 26 plus 61 plus 45 plus 26, and we get 158. So a little over $150 per month in dividend, and this is money that I do not have to work for or watch too much, so it is pretty nice to get that. It's definitely not enough money to make a killing, especially in terms of reinvesting dividends, but it's still nice to have some kind of cushion. At least I get this every month, regardless of how the stock market's doing. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Let me know what you guys think.